Hello everybody, it's Gemma here from madebygemmacrafts.co.uk. Thank you for joining me again today. Now today I've got a special project for you. Recently I went over the 1,000 subscribers to my YouTube channel, so I thought I would try and do something extra special to say a big thank you to everybody that's subscribed and is continuing to subscribe to me. So big thank you. Now the project I've got here for you is a stamped candle and a gift box for it as well. So if I'm just going to pop this candle out to show you up close. Now I've used one of the new stamp sets that's in the autumn winter catalogue, which is brand new, and this one is called Wonderful Life. I'll just grab it down and show you it. So we've got some lovely stamps in here. As you can see, we've got the car and we've got Just Married, so it's not just for Christmas. We've got some Christmas themed stamps and we've got some little autumnal pumpkins as well, some leaves. But today I've used the car stamp with the Just Married and the Mr. and Mrs. And the sentiment across it is the road to happiness is better together. So I thought this would make like a nice little wedding gift for somebody. And of course I can't have a candle without a box, so I have made a gift box as well. And I've used these stitched ovals to cut out a window, and I've used some of the window sheet as well in there. So now the one I'm going to do for you now is going to be Christmas themed. Again, I'm going to use some new products from the autumn winter catalogue, and I just love what I'm going to be using. So pop this one out the way. I'll get rid of this stamp set because I'm actually going to be using the new Snowflake Sentiments stamp set. And also, I'll just grab the catalogue to show you. Earmarked these pages like this. So here's the stamp set we're going to use. We're going to use the Season's Greetings sentiment out of it. And then over the page, the designer series paper that I'm going to use for my box and everything is the New Year of Cheer Speciality Designer Series paper, which is all foiled. And it's amazing. And also I'm going to be using some of the new champagne foil sheets as well. I'll just show you so I've got my champagne foil sheet. That is just so pretty. And then I've got some of, this is already pre-cut for my box. So this is the designer series paper I'm going to be using. And that, as you can see there, that is foiled as well. So let's pop these out of the way. First of all, I'm going to show you how to stamp on your candle. Now, the first one here that I've done, I just used regular ink, Stampin'Up ink pads, and I coloured in my image. But for this candle here, you'll see I've already done one side, because I wanted to see whether it was going to work or not, and whether it was just going to be a big splodgy mess. But what I've done is I have heat embossed onto my tissue paper first in gold, and then I've transferred it onto the candle, and it just looks so pretty. I mean, it has lost a bit of its shine across the embossing, but I still think it looks pretty good. So now what you're going to need to do your candle is some plain white tissue paper. I bought this one out of a packet of a big pack that I bought out of Hobbycraft. And my candle here that I'm using, I bought in Home Bargains and it was 99p. So it's a nice good size. I went and cleared the shelf. And as I said, I'm going to use the Snowflake Sentiments, and I've got the Season's Greetings stamp already on my block here. I've got some embossing powder and of course my embossing buddy, because you want to make sure you don't get embossing powder everywhere. So I'm just going to, as I normally would on any piece of card that I was going to heat emboss, I'm just going to run my embossing buddy over it. Then I've got my Versamark. I'm just going to ink up my stamp and just plonk that down on here. So I'm just going to stamp it down. I mean, take care, because obviously the tissue paper is thin, so just be careful when you're taking your stamp off that it doesn't get too stuck to it. And I did have a spoon here somewhere that I use. It's run away. I've tidied up to make this video tutorial, and now I actually can't find anything. So I'm doing really well. Right, well, let's grab a piece of paper that I can just pop underneath this for now. Right, so we are just going to sprinkle on our embossing powder as we would if we were just embossing regular cardstock. There we go. And just tap off the excess. There we go, so we've got our powder on there. I'm actually going to use this little piece of paper as well, because obviously tissue paper is really thin and it flaps around. So what I did was I popped my tissue paper on top of another piece of paper just to give it a bit of strength when I was heat embossing it. Now I'm going to use my heat gun, so if you are listening at loud volume, be ready, because I'm going to switch it on, so it might be quite loud. So as always, I'm going to let my heat gun heat up a little bit before I take it over to my tissue paper, because you want to be careful, because not that it's happened to me yet, but I suppose you could set your piece of tissue paper on fire, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to take really good care not to put too much heat in one concentrated space. So right, I'm just going to heat emboss this. So I'm just going to let this warm up and then go over this. Shouldn't take too long to go. There we go, it's already starting to change. Cool. There we go, a little burst of heat. And there we go. Right, now I'm going to let this cool right down before I put it onto my, give it the blow, before I put it onto my candle. But what we need to do now is we need to cut around quite closely to our sentiment. So I'm going to just snip all the way around the outside. It's a little bit fiddly. Try not to make sure that you don't have any jagged edges, and keep it smooth. There we go, you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Just go all the way around. It's would have cooled down as well by now. Oh. It's actually really fiddly cutting out tissue paper. You would have thought it'd be quite easy. It's kind of fiddly. Right, let's get rid of that bit. Off we go. Make it a little bit easier. There we go. We're just gonna come around the outside. Right, let's just tidy this up a little bit. I mean, you can go quite close to your words. You want to leave a little border. A little bit more of that away then. Right, so that is that cut out now. Let's get rid of that piece of tissue paper. So I've got my little sentiment cut out there. Now I'm going to get my candle, and also now you're going to need a piece of greaseproof or wax paper. Now I went out looking for wax paper, and I had the kids with me, so I didn't really have much time to look around. So I just got some quite good high quality greaseproof paper. Again, I picked it up in Hobbycraft. It's this one that I'm using, non-stick. So Bakewell, the original siliconized baking powder paper. So there we go, that is what I have used for my candle. So now what you're going to do is get your little piece of tissue paper with your stamped image on, and you're just going to lay it across where you want it on your candle. So I'm going to have my greeting on both sides. I'm going to squish it around a little bit. So you just want to lay that down on top of the candle. And then with your greaseproof paper, you want to put your shinier side downwards. So now we're going to wrap our candle. There we go, keep it. Yeah, there we go. So we're just going to wrap that around our candle, and then we're going to wrap it quite tightly, and we're going to hold it tightly as well. So it's nice and secure around the candle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use our heat gun again, and we're going to heat up the area where our tissue paper is on our candle underneath. Now you want to be quite careful. Again, move your heat gun around. Don't concentrate it in one space because you'll melt and you'll get a hole in your candle or a dent. It won't look very nice. So I'm hoping my heat gun is going to turn on, because if it gets too hot, mine clicks off and then I have to wait for it to cool down again. So hopefully it's going to switch on when I turn it on. Again, if you're listening with volume, I'm turning on my heat gun now. Also, again, make sure you let your heat gun get hot before you take it to your candle. So here we go. Oh, it worked. So I'm just going to apply some heat all around my stamped image. Keep it hot and keep it tight. As you can see now, it's starting to melt underneath around the stamped image. You can see that popping out. Once it has done that, move your heat away and onto the next section until it's all completely melted. There we go. This last little bit. Try not to burn your fingers like I am right now. There we go. And it's all done. You'll see that the outline of the tissue paper would have disappeared. So just carefully use your finger just to smooth it over. It's going to be a little bit warm, so take care. And then hopefully when we peel this back, very carefully, there we go, it's on our candle now. Just got a little bit of, just melted a little bit around the top, so just use your finger to smooth that back over, and there we go. You have got your stamped image on your candle, and it's as easy as that. And you can have lots of fun with this, doing this. I pretty much stamped every candle I own now. I've made them all match downstairs and around the house. So that's our candle done. Now for our box, I'm going to bring in the bits that we need. So I've got some ribbon that I'm going to use to make a bow for the front. As I said, I've got some Designer Series paper here, the Speciality one, the Year of Cheer, and then also some of the champagne foil sheet. I've got a piece of window sheet as well. Now I've already put my tape around this. I've used the skinny red tape, the really strong one. I've already put the tape on just to save a little bit of time. And then I've got, from the main part of my box, I've got a whole sheet of A4, and this is the thick Whisper White. And then we need to make the lid separately. Our little hinged lid. If I open this up, you'll see in here this has been stuck on, and then it's scored for a lip to pop inside the box. So this is the small piece of card that we will need to do that with. So what I'm going to do first is move my candle out. I'm going to bring in my scoreboard so we can do our scoring first. So I've got my piece of card. Grab my scoring tool, doodah. And then just find my notes with the measurements on as well. There we go. There we go. I'm just going to... Yeah, we're good for time, we're good. Right, so, as I said, this is an A4 sheet of the thick Whisper White. And to start with, we are going to score across the long side. So that's the 11 5/8 side. And we are going to score at 2 3/4, 5.5 inches, 8 1/4 inches, and 11 inches all the way down. And then we are going to rotate this by 90 degrees, and we again are going to score at 2 3/4 and then at 7 3/4. All the way down. Now this side here is going to make the bottom of our box, and this side we've got this little tiny one we've got here is going to make the flaps on the inside. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. We're going to grab our little piece that we've got, the piece that is 2 3/4 by 3.5, and I'm going to pop it in on the 3.5 inch side, and I'm going to score that at 2 3/4, just down on one side like so. Right, we can get rid of this now. For this box as well, we're going to need to do some die cutting. So the first thing I'm going to do is fold and burnish all my score lines that we've just put in. So I'm going to start with this little long skinny one across there, and then the bottom of our box as well here. This is going to be our side. We're going to be cutting some bits out, and as I said, we're going to be doing some die cutting as well. Now I have got a regular Big Shot, and this distance, this width is too wide for my machine, but fear not, there are ways we can do things. So let's have a look. So we've got our side here. Let's cut some bits out first. So on our little side here, we've got our 4 squares across the bottom, and then we've got our little rectangle here. We're going to take this one out first of all. So we're going to cut up to our score line and just take a little wedge off of there. And then this little tiny rectangle at the top again, I'm just going to wedge in, and then we're going to take that out as well. So now we've created the little flap to glue our box together. So what we need to do now in this rectangle here is cut our oval, but before we do that, we're going to stick on a panel of our designer series paper so we can cut through both at the same time, and then we don't have to mess around lining things up. So I'm just going to glue this down. Got my trusty Tombow here. So I have no idea what this finished box is actually really going to look like, because I just picked some things out randomly and went with it. So there we go. So I've put my first little one in there, like that. And this is the one where we want to cut our aperture, our little hole. So I've got here the layering stitched framelets. Now these come in a set with circles, ovals, and on the other side squares as well. If you only ever buy one set of shaped die, like circles or ovals and stuff, this is such a great set to have. You can use it all the time, and I use it for pretty much most of my products. So it's a great set to invest in. Now I'm going to get the second smallest one, or the third largest one, whatever way around you want to put it, and I'm just going to pop this down on here. Just going to hopefully roughly line it up in the middle, and I'm going to grab a post-it, and I'm just going to pop this over my die just to hold it in place. And a post-it's great because it won't permanently stick. So what we can do now is we can fold this over. Of course, when we put this through the die cutting machine, it is going to leave a mark on your bottom square here, but it's okay because we can fold the bottom of the box up in a different way and you won't see it, so it's not a big issue. So my die cutting machine is just over to one side, so I'm just going to go and pop this through quickly because I don't have room on my desk to put it all on here. Just popping that through now. There we go. As you can see, it does leave a bit of a mark, but it's not catastrophic. We can cover it up, and there we go, we have our little hole cut out. There we go, you have another oval if you want to use that for another project. And while we're die cutting, I'm also going to get the biggest oval as well, and I'm going to use my piece of champagne foil cardstock, and I'm going to cut a frame out. So I'm just going to do that over to one side. My die cutting machine again. There you go again. I used my post-it note just to hold it down into place, and just peel that off, and then out pops your frame. So there's our frame, and again you've got another little oval, so don't throw those bits away, they're always handy to keep. You can use them for another project. So there we go, we've got our frame. Right, we're just going to finish off the cutting on this box now. So now we need to come along and we need to cut up our score lines along the bottom of the box so we can fold it up. So we're just going to cut up to the first score line again. There we go. And then now we want to turn it round, and we've got our little tiny rectangles here. We're going to cut down the score line on these as well. Now the one above our oval cutout, we're going to fold that back in on itself. So we can just notch that out slightly. There we go. So if I turn it over, this one here above our oval, we can pop some glue on this little flap and push it down. That just helps strengthen the front of our box, like so. And then these two here are the sides of our box, and then this one here on the end is where we're going to attach our small piece of card that we cut and scored here. So just going to notch out my corners ever so slightly so they're not sticking out when we pop it on. There we go. I'm going to flip this back over. Now I'm going to put some glue along this little edge. And then we've got our square of card here. And I'm just going to stick it on that way around. Just gonna line it up with the score line. And then once you've got it on, you can fold it in just to make sure you've got it nice and lined up and straight. Just give it a nice push down. Again, just use your bone folder just to go over, and then just make sure it folds nicely as well. It's nice and straight. So that's our little lid. I forgot before I stuck it on, I'm just going to round the corners off with my corner punch. Forgot to do it before I stuck it on. But there we go, disaster averted. So there's our lid and our corners rounded on there. Now we can finish putting on the rest of our patterned paper. So I've got my other 3 rectangles, and I've also got my little square for the top of the lid as well. Let's put some glue on here. And also we can put our little frame, oval frame on that we can as well. I mean, you can put your designer series paper on these ones when you've put the box together if you want, but I just find it a little bit easier to do it when it's flat. There we go. And our final one just there. And we can get our little square. Into position on the top and the little flap here. There we go, we can get our little frame that we cut from this gorgeous champagne foil. Just pop that round our aperture. Hopefully nice and straight. There we go. We can just turn this over and pop in our piece of window sheet. So as I said, I've already put, come on off you come. I've already put my little sticky strip across this. And these are so staticky, and it's literally just stick to you. It's a nightmare, but it's super strong. And just get that out. Ooh, flick them off. Right. And pop that down over our oval. There we go, give it a nice push down. And now we can put our box together. So if we fold in our little tab on the side here, put a nice amount of glue on. There we go, and then we can take our far side and fold it down on itself, like so. There we go. Give it a good smush. Make sure it's nice and stuck down. There we go, so we've got our box put together there. Now, normally when I put my boxes together, the back is here because that's where I've just stuck my seam. You'll be able to see through this box here. You can see the seam on the back. Normally this would be the front that I would fold down, but because obviously we've got our mark from where we did our die cutting on our box, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the back flap forwards last. So I'm going to fold over my sides first. I'm just stick a nice amount of wet glue on there. So I'm going to fold our sides over first. If you're using wet glue, you've got a bit of wiggle room, so you can get them all folded down in the. Oh, there we go. Now I've done it wrong. As I was saying, you want to bring your front flap forwards first, then put the glue on that one. and then bring your back flap to the front. There we go. Let's just wipe that glue off. It's going to stick now, but never mind, we'll be okay. I can cover that one up again. So we can just give it a little squeeze to make sure it's nice and straight. It is getting late. I think it's about 11:30 at night. But it's the only time I can get to do these tutorials. So anyway, we're nearly there. We're nearly finished. Yep, there we go. It's getting stuck now. Right, so we've got our little side flaps here, which help keep our box shut. But we need to just take our little corners off. So just use your snips. Take off your little corners. Like so. Then we can grab our candle, which is going to weigh down my box and really make it stick to the side. We can pop our candle in. There we go. And fold down our little tabs on the side, push down our lid, and there we go, we've got our box done. So as a last little finishing touch, just going to take some of this ribbon. This is silver edged ribbon. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it is in the annual catalogue, not the holiday catalogue. So this was one that I just thought kind of went the best with what I had. So I'm just going to tie a little bow. Says a small bow. There we go. Right, let's make this a bit smaller. Pull that down. Oh, it's not playing ball today. Let's try the other end. There we go. Now, let's poke that through there. Bring that round and through. There we go, that's better. Let's pop that off my finger. Let's just cut this off. And trim up the other tail there as well. Just straighten out a little bit. Just going to grab some glue dots and pop a couple of them on the back of my bow. Oh, which is a bit lopsided. Oh, sticking to my finger now. Oh, right, and then I'm just going to turn that around, pop that on the top, just there. And we have our candle and box done. And there we go. So to open up again, just gonna lift up the top